Hi guys and gals, how you doing? It's Elster Nation here. So yeah, gonna have a look at some Ultramarines fluff. Now today I want to specifically have a look at Ultramarines before they met the Primarch. There's basically like a load of fluff in these books from Forge World. So if you're ever not sure why you might want to get one of these books, this has got loads of stuff in it. But I'm going to give you just a little brief overview of what what they're kind of implying the Legion was like before they met the Primarch, etc. So yeah, everyone knows the Ultra Smurfs, poster boys for Games Workshop and everything like that. This is quite an interesting little insight and sort of well, yeah, it's an insight into what they're like. It's quite interesting because I was watching Beasts of War at the weekend, and they've announced the Primarch books. If you're watching this back and the Primarch books have been out for whatever, then fair enough. But they've announced that they're going to do it, and the first one's going to be Gilliman, and they basically thought it was going to be really boring. They thought it was going to be really dull and everything like that. I think it's going to be quite different. I think it's going to be quite interesting. It doesn't have some of the monumentous tragedy that some of the other Primarchs probably had, but it does have tragedy, there's sorrow and everything like that. It's just, it's dealt with more of a controlled method rather than a hellfire, brimstones, everything's burning, and oh, the world's going to end, and making such a big deal about it. But that comes later. I'm going to do that in another episode. What I wanted to focus on was the Ultramarines before they met the Primarch, and what they were about. So, as far as I can tell by this and what it sort of states in here, the Ultramarines before they were called the Ultramarines were called the Warborn. So the Warborn. So, just in case you thought I was saying one word together. So, from what I understand, it's basically they took all their recruitment from loads of different clans and things through the unification wars on Terra. So they got a massive diversity of different sort of people. They're not all sort of like other legions where they're all sort of congregated from one clan. There's loads of different ones. So, what it states is in the Gene Seed they actually had heightened aggression, so they were more closer to World Eaters in some respects, but they also had a very strict sort of well, not strict. They leaned more towards hierarchy as well. So if there was a boss, they would lean towards having a hierarchy structure and everything like that. So it makes it rather interesting that they're really aggressive, but they're really loyal as well. So that's kind of an interesting, weird little thing. But what it does state in a lot of this is basically they would adapt and they would start learning from all the other legions and stuff like that, how to do various different things. So they would take and absorb loads of things, much like they do now. But back in the early days, they were, it says in here that basically they were less sort of lenient towards doing a like subterfuge or something like that. They basically liked all-out engagement. So it was war, really. It wasn't like sneaky hit-and-run tactics. It wasn't like armoured warfare sort of thing. It was just war with them. So it was full-on engagements. So very noble sort of thing, which you can kind of expect with Ultramarines. And various different things. There are loads of different stuff. They said they also leaned more towards having lots of solar auxilia with them as well. So they sort of got on with the Imperial Army quite a lot. But there's they did sort of go around other legions and they adopted different tactics, and certain parts would become different sort of elements of it and stuff. So a lot of them, some of them teamed up with the Night Lords and they learnt their Night Lords tactics. And they did, like all the other legions, I say the Night Lords because they're probably my most favourite legion, but they did adapt, which was kind of interesting. So they weren't strict to one way of doing things. However, they did lean more towards, like, let's go hit them with our guns and everything and just hit them where they are. Whereas someone like the Raven Guard would probably sneak in, stab you in the back, then hit you. So yeah, that's the interesting way of the Ultramarines side of things. What I found interesting was the this part here. Okay, so this is it describes a battle which was kind of a big disaster for the Ultramarines way back when, where their previous chapter master, I guess a Legion commander, called Visotho. There's a first name somewhere around there, but he basically led an attack on Septus 12, and they wanted to try and do what the Lunar Wolves did, where they go in and they take their head off the thing really quickly so it didn't become an all-out engagement. They just went in, smash, and then it was done. What they found out was going on is they went in and like humans were just throwing themselves as like bodies and corpses. Like they were literally going nuts, and they were just getting bogged down with just human corpses. And they would use any kind of tool, from pickaxes and everything, from mining charges which they strapped to themselves and become suicide squads and stuff like that. So yeah, they were getting bogged down quite a lot. Then what they found out is in the Star, if I'm reading this rightly, if I'm read it wrong, then yeah, you can correct me, that there was like 5 big like alien ships that came out of it, and apparently they described them looking like hourglasses that spun. So God knows about that, but they didn't really know, they'd never really seen them before. And they came down, they basically started wiping out the fleets in orbit, and it seems like they were mind controlling this populace as well to go absolutely bananas. So they started wrecking the fleet, and the people on this hive where they were trying to assault it would start to slowly get dwindled down, sort of thing. Basically it all ended up with them trying to run away. They retreated off the system, and they got a few of them off. Basically Visotho gave command to a guy called Marius Gage and said, "You're the next Legion commander," but he did that kind of with this like last dying breath sort of thing. Marius Gage managed to get all the Stormbirds and everything that were fleeing off that he could back onto the ships. Like, he managed to make the ship orbit, do stuff. Wow, such great articulation today in words. But basically he was so good at fleet commanding and stuff like that, he managed to outmaneuver or do something to stop the aliens completely wiping out the fleet, so that all the survivors could get back onto the ships, and they can leg it, basically. It says that about 6,500 of the Ultramarines were wiped out during that, which was kind of a big blow. I think it said it's like a fifth of the Ultramarines were gone at that point, so it makes it rather interesting to have a think how big the Ultramarines were before the Primarch was around. When the Primarch comes into it later, that's when things get quite interesting. And anyone that says it's boring, like if you ever heard the scale of gaming, so you command a squad, you command a battalion, you command the army, or you command like a country's worth, whatever sort of thing. That's the difference where Ultramarines could they can manage the whole lot. They call it, I think they call it macro management on here. But that's more when the Primarch comes along. But basically what happened after this defeat, Ultramarines started becoming a bit like, we need to get our honour back. So they started charging into stuff, and they were becoming really determined at basically winning. So if they had heightened aggression before, now they had aggression and determination. So they started becoming, they were just trying to prove themselves. They did everything they could to win, and it became a little, it kind of implies that they became a little bit sort of infatuated with trying to redeem themselves out of this loss. There's loads of different stuff here. I'm not going to read it out for you because I don't think I'll do it justice. I'll start on my words and everything like that. So I'll let you have a think. If you want to buy it, then fair enough. If you do want me to read it out, if I get enough comments, I will. But I think maybe like Morgan Freeman will probably do a better job than me. But so what happened as well, just to sort of give you a glimpse into the next video, because this is kind of a short one, I just wanted to give you a brief sort of introduction to it. The Ultramarines segment, believe it or not, when the Emperor was going around looking for his Primarchs, he actually found out about Guilliman a long time before he actually met him. Like a good 5-6 years, it's implying here. What happens is he went to a planet called Espandor, and they told him about this prodigal child that was growing up on the crag. That was going to be, he was just amazing, and the Emperor knew that that was one of his sons. However, when he went to go meet him, there was a load of warp storms around Ultramar, which basically shut it off. You're not coming in. So even the Emperor couldn't get through him. So basically, the Emperor had to wait 5 years before he could get anywhere close to Guilliman. Which is kind of interesting. I didn't know that about it. So Guilliman was known about before they found him. Yeah, that's a bit of an interesting one. But yeah, there's loads more about the 13th Legion before Guilliman. Sorry, my words are really failing me today. I keep on like trying to read it and talk at the same time, which is never a good thing. But yeah, the Ultramarines are kind of interesting. If you get a chance to read this, I think it's quite interesting. I am just going off the Forge World books right now. I'm not going off any of the other stuff. I would like to, but I could read for days basically, and don't really have the time. So yeah, I thought I just wanted to give you a little bit of an idea of the Ultramarines before they met the Primarch. In the next video, we'll go on a little bit about the Primarch and his effects on the Legion after that, because that's when things get really interesting. Just to give you a bit of a fluff behind the Ultramarines and what you can kind of think of what you expect of them. Everyone thinks they're the poster boys. I think there's actually quite a lot more to them than that, but I'll let you make up your own minds about that one. So yeah, a little bit of a quick video for you today. I hope this has been kind of informative. Sorry for my stuttering. Don't try and read and talk at the same time. I mean, if you're going to do it, say what you're reading. Don't try and read it and say something else, because it's just your brain has a fart and you're like. So yeah, word of advice for the day: don't read and try and say something else. Doesn't work. So thanks very much for watching, guys, and we'll come back with the next one where we have a look at Guilliman before the Legion, and also his effects after meeting the Legion and what they do, because that's quite interesting. So thanks for see, words again. Thanks very much for watching, guys. Take a stand and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye bye.